How's it going? My name is David, and welcome back to Coloradan Customs. In today's video, I'm going to be replacing the electric switch for the ignition in my 1965 F250. Now, as you can see here, I already have the metal lock cylinder removed, and here's the switch hanging down here. What happened was mine just kind of grenaded, and parts were just falling out. So I'm going to show you how to remove the metal cylinder, and then we'll work on replacing that switch piece. All right, I'm splicing this in after the new switch has already been installed. So to remove the actual metal lock cylinder, don't mess with this bezel at all. This comes out after this, and the switch back here has already been removed. If you try to pry it off, you're just gonna break stuff. So you can see on here, there's this little hole beneath the key. If you can't find yours, it's probably just caked with dust and grime like mine was. So what you're gonna wanna do to remove the metal cylinder, take your key, put it in, and turn it all the way to the accessory position. Now, take a paper clip or a piece of wire, and you're gonna wanna stick it into that hole. And you're gonna feel like you're pressing down a spring. So once you've got that in, then you're gonna keep it pressed in, and then you're gonna turn the key past the accessory point. And if you've done it right, your cylinder should slide out just like that. So again, just turn your key to the accessory point, push that little pinhole in, push your key past the accessory point, and then your cylinder should come out. Now, for this new for this new switch, we need to make sure it's in the correct position to install, which I do believe it already is. Yep. And that's going to be you're going to want that to be the accessory position, so all the way to the left. You can just use a screwdriver to manually turn it. Now we're going to work on removing the actual electric switch. What I'm going to do is just loosen this nut on the back with some pliers. Some socket. A socket might work better, but I'm just going to use pliers for sake of ease. Shouldn't be on there that hard. All right, there we go. That nut's off. Now we're gonna take off all our little wires that are secured on there. It looks like we have another nut. This one's a different size, but we're gonna go ahead and take that one off too. Alrighty, both those nuts are off, and we have a third one. We had one of these little washer thingies on there, so we want to keep track of that. Alright, now that's off. We should just have some bladed connections on here that we should be able to pop off. I didn't talk about it much, and I cut out the recording, most of it anyways, but this bladed connection on the back of the old switch gave me quite a bit of trouble taking it off. It was on there pretty good. So what I did was just a few minutes of working around the edges with a flat bladed screwdriver, getting it pried up, used pliers a little bit, and then I was eventually able to pull it out of that back socket. Alrighty, there we go. That is off. You can see that's the end of the old cylinder. This kind of rubber setup here was just giving me some trouble. Alright, so now let's take our new cylinder. It's the electric part. Let's, how is that oriented? Kind of, yep, like that. So we're gonna have kind of this weird horseshoe. No, that's not a horseshoe. Kind of looks like a mushroom. Anyways, mushroom, that way. So we're gonna slide that in. This rubber connector is a specific shape, so it shouldn't be that hard to line up. All right. That rubber piece went in a lot easier than it came off. So let's take loose our little nut here. And let's throw back on all of our little connections. All right, it looks like this one wire I got here doesn't actually have a eyelet on it, so all right, got some more tools, and I decided I'm gonna try to fix this wire up a little bit. This is just not gonna make a good connection at all, so just gonna straighten out some of these wires, then cut it there, cut it like that. Then I got a little eyelet here. Hopefully, oh yeah, that'll work great. Then we got our crimpers. Do the big guy right on the metal. All right, sweet. That is on there just as good as it should be. As good as it's gonna be. Alrighty. Let's throw this on. We'll throw one of these nuts with that weird little gear-shaped washer thingy. Oop. Tighten her down as much as we can. As much as we reasonably can. Alright, looks like we're all connected up good. So, I got this little part on here, and you can see these little slots. Let's see if I can get the right angle. I'm not sure I can. But anyways, these little notches back here line up with these little studs on the switch. So we're gonna pop that on there just like that. And then we're gonna feed it up back through here. So these little flat parts should go into the kind of the triangle, or not the triangle, what am I talking about? These notches up on the cylinder. Switched over to the head mount to hopefully get you guys a better view as to what you want to get going on here. So I want to get these little tabs lined up. Now you're going to take your little bezel, slide that back in there. Alrighty, there we go. So basically there's these notches on the side of the bezel here, and those notches will go, let me grab the old one. Yeah, here we go. Those notches will go right on this part. So you push it in, and then you'll rotate, and it'll slide back a little bit, be locked in. Now we can put our cylinder back in. Alright, this is what I mean when you gotta have it lined up right. You guys see back in there, can you see that flat notch in there? That has to line up with this part on the cylinder. And the cylinder has to line up with the edges of this. So we got to get that lined up right for the cylinder to go in correctly. Come on now. Alright, see, there it's in. Now we should, there we go. Yep, alright. Now we can see that all our systems are working. We're at on. air off, switch it on. You see my busted little gauge down there. Alternator's working. Now, my truck here starts with a button over here, well, plunger. Doesn't actually start by pushing the key, but that is how to replace the ignition cylinder in your 1965 F250, F100, F350, whatever. It should be all the same. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope this was easy enough to follow along. Hopefully you can get the job done yourself now.